We're glad you joined in. This is Dataphyte, Dataphyte Foundation. Some of you call us Dataphyte, some people call us Foundation, some people call us Insights People, some people call us Data Journalism, and some people even prefer, conveniently, to say we're a civic tech organization. But all said would make you correct because we extended a good part of some of the things we do. With much pleasure, my name is Femiti Amele. I'm director at Dataphyte, and we're pleased to start the event at this time, this very morning. And if we may, can we just be on our feet as we take on the national anthem? And I don't want to make jokes until we've done the national anthem. And this took quite an extensive research to make sure that we land on the accurate one. So we will take on the national anthem at this time. Thank you very much. Please, you may take your seats. And if I am not making an attempt to do a joke, I will just reiterate the words of Dataphyte says, the old new one. I did not make a joke. I'm just reiterating what I heard at this time. But it's good to know that for the purpose of the video, it looks like we all know what we're singing. And the words is 3 stanzas, I understand, and I'm sure we'll get used to it with time. One thing I'm sure of is that your children will likely know this before you, and that will take us a long way. We are in adult education around the national anthem at this time. I'd like to recognize a few guests that are already seated with us this very lovely day. I would love to start, of course, with Dr. Kole Shetima, who is with MacArthur Foundation. You're welcome, sir. Please, let's clap for him. Now, this is the part I've lost. You know, sometimes they say, what is the prefix before the name? But I would possibly allow you to imagine who he is in your own words and add the prefix. Some would say father, some would say mentor, some would say Mr. Dapo Olorunyomi, but some would even conveniently arrive at saying Dapsy. Please welcome Dapo Olorunyomi. He is publisher, is media innovator, is a lot of things to many of us. And yes, is a foremost leader in the media industry. We also have joining us Professor Dapo Olorunyomi. Thank you, sir, for coming in. We would conveniently love to, of course, recognize every other person in the room as we go on, as you arrive. Definitely we would do that. And I will take the next round to do that. But before I do step away from the mic, also to recognize Mr. Mojid, who is also here with us this very lovely day. I also see Mr. Oludotun also here with us today. Please just indicate for recognition. Mr. Fred Adetiba is also here with us today as well. I will take rounds to recognize every other person as well as our media friends and our partners in the civil society sector as we go on. But at this point in time, it's my pleasure to welcome the founder and chief executive of Dataphyte Foundation, Joshua Olufemi, to give an opening remark at this time.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, pardon me to read. I guess as I cross the 40th, some of these things that happened to Uncle D specifically is happening to me. So I'll just do this quickly. So it says here, as drafted, good morning, everyone. I guess it's still morning, and you're welcome to the official launch of Dataphyte Innovation Hub. And of course, it is very much noteworthy, as you probably would have seen our attempt to also, commemorate the World Environmental Day. Our goal is to ensure that not only do we occupy ourselves with all of the occupations of innovation, media, but we are also able to, work towards sustainability of the environment as much as possible. And I'll take you through a short history of the organization. When we started late 2019, when I was given the privilege to go and do that by the person who will be unveiling his theater today, very early 2020, Dataphyte had tried as much as possible since then to harness the power of data and technology to drive growth in the corporate sector, in the development sector, and as much as possible to also provide that resourcing for government in the space of 5 years that we've been around. And as we mark the step forward, as we cross the first 5 years and move to the next 5 years, we done well with access. We've done well to provide insight, some of which you will have seen and probably be appreciated. We've decided to become more of an ecosystem resource, and we're starting that by opening up the space for young talent, media entrepreneurs, who will be found, who will be discovered, just like as I was discovered by the great Dapo Olorunyomi himself. And so that's the whole essence of we being here, and I want to appreciate known faces, unknown faces, colleagues in the media and the civil society and the technology ecosystem that have graced this occasion. It's a very short one. It's just for us to, open up the space so that everyone can appreciate and can begin to make the best of marks from it. And the Dapo Olorunyomi Theatre, which is housed within the hub, and you will see very soon, is a fitting tribute to his contributions, and I mean Dapo Olorunyomi, to the media ecosystem. It's a symbol of our own commitment to carry on his own work, to push the boundaries of what's possible, and to create a new generation of media innovators. As we share bits of our story during the gatherings and take everyone for a quick tour around the hub, we hope you all will be inspired by the possibilities that data, media, and technology can bring people together, connect like-minded individuals, share ideas, and spark new collaborations. But beyond that is to be inspired to look at the next generation, forgive all their, errands, project a future for them, present them a tablet, and let them run with it. We're excited you have joined us, and we hope that you enjoy the ambience, and don't forget to take water, tea, or coffee, or the other things that I know somebody takes. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. You will still have to plot the data around what other things that somebody takes that you do not know about. Thank you so much for that. Please, at this point in time, I would also like to welcome Dr. Shetima to give a keynote address, few words, that will be kind words around the organization. Dr. Shetima.
I can say kind words, but not keywords. I think the challenge was that I didn't know what I was going to say, and then I was asked to scan the agenda, and I think the young woman gave up on me. That I tried to scan it, and then I couldn't do it. They realized that I can sing the old national anthem, but they cannot sing the new national anthem. So at least there are some advantages on both sides in terms of what is possible and other things. Let me say that I am very excited, very happy to be here this morning. I usually attend meetings at 10 o'clock because I claim that as a senior citizen, I should be given some respect to start my meetings at 11 o'clock. But partly because I work too different time zones. I work Nigeria times and I zone Chicago times. So Chicago closes at 12 midnight of our time. So I usually demand my right to have some time to myself as well. But I know that Joshua had been planning this for a long time. And I think the last time he was planning, I was away last week. So, but I said, okay, I just have to honor him, but also, of course, have to honor the person that we are dedicating one of the buildings here. Everyone here, I'm sure, knows Dapo. He's someone that I think we all respect him for the kind of work that he has done and for the kind of work that he's actually doing in the country, in terms of providing mentorship, giving guidance, providing support to all kinds of people in our country. Certainly in the media ecosystem, but also in terms of the other work that he also does around as well. And I think that given his history, since the old methods of doing journalism to the current method of doing journalism, I think he's one of the people who have certainly adapted to the kind of work that is being done. And I always try to remind him and people like Mr. Kilo that, look, I know that all of you have burnt your fingers in the old school of journalism, doing all kinds of guerrilla journalism and doing all kind of things. And I think that you have also learned some very bitter lessons through that process. But I think that the fact that you have also now transformed yourself to something else and be able to be on the cutting edge of the new online technology and development of media, I think that really shows your adaptability, your ability to respond to the situation. But also, I think, for me, is also this is also an indication of that you have learned lessons, and you're applying your lessons to the new world that we have found ourselves, from the kind of legacy work that you have done before to now a new way of doing things. I think that is something that you should all be proud of, because you have really accomplished very much in the work that you are doing and other things.
Unfold from my youthful dreams. I think that the only thing that has stayed true since then, but is still also trying to find meaning, was Life Behind Bars. All I had were lovely scenarios without a single thing. I had great stories, but I did not have that one story that he was asking me for. So I left the meeting without an answer. I left wondering what is in the story. I left pondering whether I had one. I left wondering if the story would matter. So I had met Dapsy in Lagos then, at the time, and we had just that casual chat. I'd missed the one chance, to meet him in Abuja again, after my youth service in Bauchi, and 6 years after that, this time, he was the one that needed to tell me his own story. He called me in my office and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in my office." And he said, "No, you are not in your office." And I said, "I'm in my office right now." And he said, "Okay, that's not your office." So I left Lagos and I went to meet him. I think then it was Ekiti. And I listened to him. This time I had one story. He listened to me patiently. That's the way he looks, if you look at him. And it was like a sci-fi film. And the old story I told him at the time was set only in the future. It was 10 years ago. Everything I was saying, even now, we've not been able to fully unravel it. It had a civic theme, of course, but it was nuanced with technological overtones. Yes, it was filled with many trials, many attempts, as well as many misunderstandings by people because it wasn't a familiar product. I asked for his counsel on the way forward. He gave me a contract instead. Remember this part. I said, "Oh, I want to do Life Behind Bars. Can you?" And he said, "Okay, so what is the one thing you want to do?" And I said, "Okay, so I'm thinking of doing this radio thing that will power, And he went into his room and then he gave me $100. And he said, "So go on, buy a subscription and start something." So that's him. That's it. That's how he powers you. Even when he doesn't understand what you're saying, he buys into it. And he pats you on the back. And every time he sees you, he will ask you for that story. He will always ask you, how you're doing. So every time you see him or you want to see him, you better have a story. 4 years into that act, I've seen the story play out delicately and incrementally. I've learned the wordless styles of a patient craftsman. I've known the stubborn support of a huge sage, or humble sage, sorry, a man who leads from the rear, a powerful humanist, and friends to all his enemies. The interesting and annoying thing about him, so annoying, and us his disciple, is that he's descriptive of us in a deceptive way. He introduces you as the smartest, rookie. Everyone is always in the superlative. You are always in the superlative with him. Oh, he will say things like, oh, this is the smartest rookie that we just hired, and it means you are just another stupid lad in need of redemption. So if you saw him this morning, you will see that that's what he will say when he's facing you. But to the world, you're the smartest thing in the town. And he appraises you on the merit of what is possible if you will learn, and not on where you are currently. That's his workspace is a nursery of ideas, a gymnasium for social fitness, and a theater for intellectual display. That's he has an enviable flaw though. He's partially blind to people's character deficits, coupled with a seriously impaired vision of ethnic and religious cleavages. He compensates for this necessary blindness by sharp moral sensitivities to organized evil and elitist hypocrisies and regressive maneuvers of the Nigerian political establishment. His greatest asset, from which I pilfer from time to time, is his ability to trust another, to see people as helps more than threats, to see opportunities in opposition, to see sentences in antithesis. That instinct of security lacking in many of us mortals, that inner peace in time of dissent, that faith that all will be well in the end if you do not tire of doing the good thing. That's who wins his rights to it whenever malice beckons. The worst you can get from him is tough love. And that's he has his own stories too. He tells me in parts. He relates scenes of mid-tempo action of his younger times. There's one that I always find interesting, but I won't tell you, so that you won't do the things that you're advised not to do. Right? All these stories make up Dapo Olorunyomi's story. One story, with the chief theme of self-denial and delayed gratification, a story that prefers an evening lit with love than a morning. Yet this morning, we have come to unveil the power of love, the process of growth, and the potentialities of leadership packed into one terrestrial building. As I reflect about the story that birthed this vision in 2019 and the mortal mindset that captures the purposes of this orb, my thought could only find meaning in a man, and that man went the pursuit of my story, right? With all its colors, with all its curvatures, is without understanding. But you sit in that room as you will unveil it today, you can find it in his eyes, you can find it in the bold look, even though is always comely, and then you can dream, you can innovate, you can create, and you can learn to believe in a nation which many times will give you reasons to doubt, will probably throw you to disillusions, even give you an anthem that you will not prepare to sing on Independence Day. And that should spoil you enough, as that will always spoil you, to innovate the next thing that will give us a motherland. And I use this opportunity to appreciate all the mothers in the room, for all that they've done, to keep hope alive, as we go through those moments. So without saying much, I'm going to hand over the mic to him. I know I've done the worst thing that he likes, which is to set him up, to say a few words. Give him a round of applause.
Good morning. So I would like to thank and also welcome and recognize all the great names that are here, colleagues, friends. this is totally, this is very bizarre, I must tell you. Setups are difficult to manage, but we'll just try. Let's try. So everything that we try to do, we must do them around a story, you know. The best things that have happened to people, that's happened to humanity, has been around stories. People have gone to war, truly not because they want to conquer territories, but because of stories, things that are planted in people's mind. So that's why stories are so important. And stories are, at the very heart of what we try to do in journalism. If you make a bad story, then you can destroy the world. But if you can craft a great story, you can really remake the world. So whatever we are also doing today, I think we're just trying to tell a little more story. The way I see my own journey and this roping people into all this, I really don't understand this at all. But, I think we have a country and we have to make the country better. And one of the best tools, we never understand that, but that's what everybody who's worked, in the little journey that we gathered around from premium times, we say that journalism is a powerful tool to remake this world. So we've turned it into some kind of catechism. Journalism is a tool to remake democracy, to recreate development stories, and so on and so forth. And so what I will say here merely will just be a story of journalism, its challenges, and why the kinds of things that Joshua and his team are doing here matter and have some consequence. If we're ever going to build a democratic Nigeria, no question about this, it has to be that the journalism that serves this country is a good journalism. It must be one that is professional, that is ethical, and that defines itself without equivocation as a project of democracy. It cannot be any other way. I mean, we can banter around it, but journalism in the modern era is centrally a project of democracy. That is a little bit of what I think has been wrong in our country and has been wrong with us. So let's break it down a little bit more. If our politics is wrong, believe me, it's political journalism that is wrong. If our sports is wrong, it is sports journalism that is wrong. And you can take it across the board. If the whole economy and the financial system are wrong, then, it's journalism. Because for one simple reason, the expectation in every democracy is that its journalism will play three critical roles. One is that it will hold the power structure in that democracy accountable. That's been so well documented. There's no dispute about this in any scholarship of journalism, indeed of political science. So in a very timid way, Section 22 of our Constitution makes it clear. That is it. So that is the legal basis of journalism. It's not, you're not inventing anything here. Joshua's story and his journey, in a sense, is also tied to the journey of Premium Times. So 2011, Premium Times, as you know, debuted. The idea was to try to do a truly professional Nigerian newspaper, in a sense that was an interesting story of innovation in our own country. Because first time it was the newspaper that offered to do wholly online. So that's a break with the past. And then started thinking of doing a whole lot of other things. Turned investigative reporting to the central purpose of its own newsroom. That was the first time in this country. It's not the first newspaper to do investigations, but as a central theme of the newsroom, that is sports, economics, every desk, your job is to do investigation. That does not mean that it was 100% success, but that was at least a dare. But it was also in this newspaper that the idea, also understanding that the future of Nigerian journalism is going to be structured around data. If we're going to solve a lot of the problems of journalism itself, you have to look at it in the direction of data. So, thank you everyone who's here. We accept this in the name of every young person in journalism who's aspiring to do wonderful things, understanding that data is available now to play around, but not to understand anyway that the whole value of everything we do, we have to put it to the purpose of building a better and good society. That's the most important thing. To make some name out of that, well, fine, but make sure that, at the end of the day, is to serve so Joshua and the Dataphyte Foundation and the cohort of chains of products that you have now developed. We thank you, and we wish you all the best, and also Godspeed. Thank you, and good morning, all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We're really honored that you're here today. Well, that's part of not being prepared. What if he's prepared? Just to reiterate that. Well, at this point in time, we would like to take some goodwill messages. And of course, we'd like to start with people here. We'd like to start with Professor Ropo, and of course, we'll go with Mr. Taiwo, the Yop will also get the chance to also wade in as well. Dr. Babayemi, of course, is not going to be missing in action. So we'll just start with Prof at this time, sir. Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Well, I basically, I started and grew. No, okay. I started and grew as an analog man. So, but I became suddenly a data conscious man, as people around me keep changing. Oh, I remember one time, I think Joshua was going to the endowment for democracy, and my teacher student, I used to be his teacher, he's now my teacher. My teacher student then said, he beckoned to me and said, "Can you do us a reference for Joshua?" I said, "Where is he going?" He said, "But when?" He said, "Now." So I said, "Okay, what do we do?" So we did it, and looking through Joshua's resume, I started seeing so many things I did not understand. So, but what is this young man doing? What? I'm glad that over time I came to realize that the young man was going to be the big man of the future. Oh, I appreciate what I have seen, and I congratulate you, Joshua, and your team. Oh, really pleased that I believe I am the oldest person in this place now. And look around, you see young Nigerians, and you see future. So I appreciate that you are contributing to the growth of our future. Thank you.
When my father wanted me to be a pharmacist, and but I failed physics and maths, which meant that I had to find something. I have to do a media, you know, and I didn't understand why he wanted me to be a pharmacist until much later. His brother-in-law was a successful pharmacist, so he was seeing me. Yes, but I failed physics and maths. You know, we had a teacher who could not teach. Yeah. So I always went there to just mark the register, and I failed. But some people had distinction in physics and maths. Anyway, so one of the things they wanted me to do was to work, and Ondo State was created at that time, 1976. That was when I left secondary school. And so I went to Akure, and I was made to do audition, and I failed. Audition as a continuity announcer. Since that time, when I see microphones, seriously, I mean, that was, Auntie sent me a message. Please send me your, how he knew that I was, we did something about a month ago, Media Leader Summit, and it was one of our resource persons. So I think he guessed that I could send him a message as two, and he would respond. So around 1 o'clock on Saturday, he said, "Can I have your email?" Well, what does he need my email? Anyway, he said, "My people want you to come to Abuja, blah, 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 on Wednesday, 5th of May. Wednesday, 5th of May. That's going to be tough. Because this evening, I am a couple of, when they say Ghana and Nigeria, a group of executives from a Ghanaian company will be in Lagos today to study Nigerian companies. So they are coming on a knowledge tour, and I'm supposed to be their mascot and all of that. So as I'm sitting here, I'm also, so all of that time that the strike was on, I was like, would this happen or not? Anyway, I said, that's the only, what time is it? So I asked him a series of questions, what time is it? Can I leave for Lagos at, he said, 10 o'clock? We'll get you a ticket that will bring you back to Lagos, so I should be out of here as soon as. Anyway, so between that 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, we were talking, AM. I'm not in Chicago, it's not in Chicago, I mean, but we got things done, and getting things done is what my life has been about. You must do it, and I think my brother here, Dapo, we've been getting things done. So so I'm here because I run the journalism clinic, which vision is to raise the next generation of first-rate Nigerian journalists. That's the vision. And when I hear people say that Nigerian journalism has no future, I say no, because I've had to interact with younger journalists who are sharp, who are smart, who are creative, who are innovative. And I am proud that this young man here is one of them. So when he says come now, and I'm serious, I didn't have to hesitate. If there was no Ghanaian thing coming, I probably would still stay around till tomorrow. But he says come. So I just said, look at my calendar, and I'm here. So I am moving away to go and become a snail farmer to be able to recognize people of worth while they are alive. So I'm here because he commanded, and I'm here because Dapsy, I call him Dapsy Baba. I don't know if there's another person who calls
Uncle Dapo.
Dapsy Baba is being honored.
Thank you very much. I'm now afraid of the microphone, but not for the same reasons. Good morning, everyone. We've heard so many amazing and heartfelt stories. There were times where I held back the tears a bit when Joshua was sharing his journey. And when Uncle Dapsy talked about the journey, it brought me even closer to tears. But we're all here together today, riding on the back and enabled for Dataphyte to happen and brought us here. Uncle Dapsy, Malam Kole, Prof, Ogatayo, thank you so much for bringing us here. We're riding on them. But then we're also here today because looking around, there are young faces, the hope for the future. What is possible is looking at us. And so we've brought those two together today and this afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of you. I am speaking on behalf of the board at Dataphyte Foundation. And so I have a script because I'm not speaking for myself alone. It is an honor to stand before you at the launch of the Dataphyte Foundation Innovation Hub. Dataphyte is an organization, if you don't know yet, just a reminder and a refresher, that it is an organization that is poised to make a significant impact in our society today. And for the board at Dataphyte Foundation, when we say society, we don't mean just Nigeria. Not to scare you, Joshua, but the vision is big, the vision is huge, and we are tuned into it. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for having us along on this journey. The board is deeply inspired by the vision, which aims to harness data for social good. We believe that by leveraging the power of data, we can drive transparency, we can drive accountability, and we can drive informed decision-making across various sectors. I like the way that Uncle Dapsy put it. He says, reform our journalism, and we can reform our democracy. For me, that is the word I'm taking away from a lot of the conversations today. Imagine an Africa where we have more innovative outputs, and we don't just have unicorns that are designed through data and the use of evidence. Imagine a world where there are M-Pesas across the world. If you don't know M-Pesa, in Kenya, it is a revolutionized financial institution that leverages data to ensure that people in local and underrepresented communities can access money easily. And cash is still there, but it is done differently. If you don't know about Power Corner in Tanzania, it provides off-grid solar solutions to underrepresented, very local communities across Tanzania. Communities that don't even have access to power, their introduction to power is through this off-grid solution. And that is what data can do. That is what leveraging data for transformation can do. And we are confident that Dataphyte will serve as a beacon for innovation, and not just innovation, but innovation done with integrity, innovation that is done through leading the charge in using data to tackle some of the most pressing challenges of our time. In launching the hub, one of the cornerstones of Dataphyte Foundation's mission is to create this dynamic hub for young people, for young journalists, to enable the future to come together as often as possible, share ideas, exchange ideas. We recognize that ideas are a dime a dozen. We've had so many conversations, we have shared so many ideas, but we're here today because that dream, that vision, the ideas that came together are riding on the backs of determination, the back of grit, and the backs of people who are ready to run this marathon until we get there. And so this hub, we believe, is that vehicle for running this marathon. and it will get us there. Perhaps in the future, it won't be a marathon, we'll be running on our feet. Maybe it will get to a point where the hub is a bullet train and it's taking us faster into the future. But, like during COVID-19, the pandemic, where an organization like Flutterwave launched this store to start SMEs, that innovation was driven by a need. It was driven by a crisis in that time. And so when young people come together, we hope that they are able to see and leverage the crisis of today to create the solutions, because they're coming together to rub minds at this hub that is dedicated to the man on whose back the hub has been built, on whose back the hub is now a real dream and a real vision. So in conclusion, the Dataphyte Foundation Innovation Hub for us at the board represents a bold and fearless step towards a future where data empowers progress and innovation across the continent. As we embark on this journey, we invite you all, everyone who's here with us, to join us and support this vision, to nurture our young talents and embrace the innovations that arise from our collective solutions and from our collective address to the challenges we face.
The chair, sir, my teachers and other distinguished fellows, good morning. My first encounter with Dapo was in April 1982, and we've been together since then to date. Some of you were not born. At that time, he was a copper in Gongola State, serving at GSS Numan. I was an A-level student in College for Preliminary Studies in Yola. I went to visit my friend in that school, and we went to see his teacher, Dapo, who was their literature teacher, and his room was as rough as you can imagine, full of books, and with his jeans. And since then, we have been in one way or another linking up. When he was in Panos Institute, he supported, or he had the intention of supporting University of Maiduguri to start the first campus radio station in this country, even before UNILAC. The university donated a space for that, but somehow in the process he left Panos Institute and the dream was not realized until much later. Again, he invited me to chair something at the University of Ibadan when I was head of department in Maiduguri, after editing a book, Introduction to Reporting Conflict. I think it was the first major book to do with media and conflict in this country. He saw it and he invited me. I was the chair in Ibadan. We had a very big meeting with people like Isaac Albert and many others. And then we continued. When Premium Times was to start, he again invited me to be part of the planning team. It became a reality. Then made me a board member, PTC IJ, and eventually the board chair for CGID as of today. So I'm speaking in two capacities. One, as the chair of CGID, and two, as a very good younger brother to Uncle Dopsy. I've said it somewhere and I'll still repeat it here. Dopsy is an institution builder. He has built a lot of institutions, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And of course, when you build institutions, you also build people. And institutions are supposed to outlive all of us. And today, I'm sure he may not even remember the number of people that went through his University of Life, and the number of people that directly and indirectly benefited from his generosity and his reputation. For Joshua, on behalf of the CGID, we congratulate you and your team. It's a very significant effort. And we have also worked together in training and retraining our students. Even last week, a team from CGID and Dataphyte, I think they were in Kashere to offer some training. And they're still going to several other universities. So we have to rely on bodies like Dataphyte to work with some of our younger lecturers and some of our younger students so that they really understand the innovative activities that are taking place in journalism. So once again, we congratulate Dataphyte, Joshua and his team, and we pray that Uncle Dapsy will live longer to continue to see the fruits of his labor. And for Dr. Kole, we urge you to continue to do more. Please, don't get tired. The system needs your assistance, and we really, really appreciate all that you have been doing. And we have been saying so wherever we get the opportunity. And the Nigerian university system, I'm sure, particularly for the communication program, will eternally remain grateful for the fundamental change that you brought at the time when the change was needed. We thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you so much, Prof.
I don't even know where to start. Maybe I should start with Joshua, who I don't know where Dapsy found him 1 year, and he said to me that one talented gentleman is coming, and I think Joshua and one other guy Dapsy has a way of looking for talent, finding great talent, and then looking for them and convincing them to join his team. He believes in talent, and he always will say, these are people who can change the world. So I don't know how he found Joshua, but he convinced Joshua to relocate from Lagos, where he lived, to come over to Abuja. And he told me that this one energetic man, talented man, Joshua made the point that is superlatives all the time. So when he said this, because I recall that we had hired one girl to cover the National Assembly, and it was another regime of superlatives, but that didn't work. It was superlatives, so that didn't quite work. But when he spoke about Joshua, and I was a bit skeptical. Then Joshua arrived. In a month, I was really clear about what Dapsy meant. You could see results. He was able to, the PTCIJ that we were struggling with, he was quickly able to energize it, restructure it, and it just took off aggressively. And I was wondering, this young man, without any training at the time in journalism, but he was very clear about data and all of this, man, and he was doing quite amazing work. And PTCIJ just became something entirely different, and we remain ever grateful to him. For us in Premium Times, and courtesy of what we learned from Dapsy, who I will come to later, we don't think that Premium Times can solve the problem of this country. We believe that there has to be several other institutions that we, cooperate or collaborate to solve the problems or contribute to the solution facing our country. So when Joshua indicated that he was going to NED, the National Endowment for Democracy in Washington, for us, we thought he was going to think about the work that we are doing in a very intellectual setting and bring the knowledge back to the data work that we've always wanted to do. But we were also very clear that wherever people transit to outside of Premium Times, they will be adding value to humanity, and that is fine. So when Joshua came, and then the Dataphyte idea had then been formed as he returned, and he wanted to experiment on it himself, we were very glad. And this is another thing about us. More than 99% of those who transited from us have remained very close family members. I think it's just about 1% that a former staff who then became hostile. But 99% remain who continue to even partner with us one way or the other. So Joshua, we're very proud of you all the time. We talk about you, and we point at you as an example for our other colleagues. So thank you so much for the work you do, for finding it necessary to honor our boss while he's still very much alive. We thank you.
I think my definition of hope with these two people that are being celebrated today have brought to humanity. My definition of hope is helping other people excel. Colin has always been a champion of data. Now I know why, but please help us. We want to know, Joshua, we want to know the actual data of persons with disability in the country. What you hear all the time are mere projections. They tell you we are 35 million. The next day, Jake will say we are 31. The other day, Lois will say we are 34. And so we have been using data that is not credible. Therefore, development partners like Dr. Kole Shotiba cannot rely on that. There's no point to talk about what data can do, especially in development circle. But this also gives me opportunity to say to Joshua, now we have one commonality that we need to work on. Can we start the process of picking up data here and there of persons with disability that the MacArthur can trust when making decisions? I think I'll end by saying thank God, sir, that you started talking about curriculum. I think there's no doubt that any curriculum that anybody does that is not inclusive is not a curriculum. So while you're thinking about all I was carefully listening to you and you never talked about the inclusive curriculum. Please add that to your vocabulary, but also add that to implementation, that we must have an inclusive curriculum that takes into consideration inclusive media practice. Oftentimes, apart from the likes of Dr. Kola Shetima and Dapo, my friend, you don't know what it means when somebody walks up to you and give you a hug as a person with disability. Yeah, you will look at me, I'm wearing fancy clothes and all that, but we all have our inner fight of how the society treats us and what they say to you. And so opportunities like this is very important to drive home the point that we need to be inclusive in all spheres, but also in the media space. The media have not been as inclusive as it ought to be. I will end by reminding these two handsome gentlemen that you have made a difference. You have made a difference in the life of people. And that's why they are talking about what you've done when you're alive. Oftentimes, we talk about what people have done when they are dead, but you're a living legend. So let me say to you, sir, both of you, that the day you were born, it was only you who were crying, and everybody around you were rejoicing. Now, whenever you're ready to go, you will be rejoicing while we will be crying. That's a life of contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, one thing I can tell you is we're committed towards that and all that you do. We recognize the 3rd of December is a day that's set aside, yes, for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please, 13th of June is
13th of
International Albinism Day. Brilliant time. Where is the editor?
I am sure Mr. Mojid is way ahead of us on this type of things.
13th of June is International Albinism Day.
Fantastic.
Then the 3rd of December is
International Day.
Disability Day.
Yeah. Well, one thing we're sure is that Dataphyte is committed towards writing such reports and, of course, working on data along the lines of that. And we'll reach out to you for concept notes. We'll reach out to our powerful people for resources to make that happen, pretty much. Okay, but one more thing. Joshua has requested of me. I know we're pressed for time. I don't know what time zone I'm using, but the wristwatch is working. I would like to call on Pastor Mbag just to say some few words, very, very few words at this time, just as we start to plan. And of course, we'll get Nafisa Atiku Adejuwon in a short while as well.
to talk about Dataphyte Foundation and also share a short video of our colleagues in less than 5 minutes as well.
I feel very honored, and I looked forward to this because I wanted to see Uncle D. I've been to his office a couple of times, made calls a couple of times, and I didn't see him. And Uncle D, good to see you. And thank you for all you do. And sometimes I know you are a very humble person, and you don't want to be told that. But there are some of us who appreciate you and appreciate all you do. And generations to come, just like the last speaker said, we still get up to celebrate you long after you've gone. And that is the importance of life. That you have left, but your life still lives long after you've gone. For Joshua, I want to thank God for your life. And most of you take my steps in the fact that you do the things you do, but you do it in a very simple way, and you don't make that much noise about it. And your contribution to society. It is my privilege to be your pastor, and I happen to be a pastor who is also a professional and know what it means to be a marketplace minister, because you have to juggle what the society demands of you and what your faith also demands of you. And sometimes you don't have to explain yourself to people who may think you could be taken for granted. Now, I've just been going through some materials, and the essence of the material is that work is spiritual. It's actually unbiblical to make a distinction between that which is spiritual and secular. Everything we do it as unto God. It calls for diligence. It also calls for dedication and devotion. And it calls for you putting your sight in the ultimate reward. And the ultimate reward is not here. The ultimate reward is well done, good and faithful servant. You stewarded what I put into your own hands. So sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, it's good.
Yeah, maybe I'm representing him well.
Yes.
Good. So everything we do it as unto God. You know, a lot of people want to live where they are kept to shine as a light. And they feel the only time at which they are doing something for God is to stand behind the pulpit. That's so wrong. Absolutely so wrong. Everything we do it as unto God. As little, well, it's not very little to say as little as parenting. As even parenting, you do it as unto God. Marrying, you do it as unto God. Everything you do. For those of us who think, oh, this is government job, that government job is God's job. Do it as unto God. Your ultimate reward is coming from God.
I can aim for 30 seconds. First of all, okay, still morning, so good morning, everyone. Like my Oga at the top has already, I have two Ogas, plenty of Ogas at the top, but I think we get the joke. As said, my name is Nafisa. I'm currently the program manager for Dataphyte Foundation, and I'm still a newbie, but I think it's been a great experience so far, and I think I have a lot of people to thank for that, hearing all the testimonials from everyone in the room. So I'm looking forward to the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and yes, 10. Okay, we'll see how that goes. But I've been given a very interesting task, but I don't believe I can tell the story of Dataphyte Foundation more than anyone who has told the story, especially Mr. Josh here. But I would say it in the way that I understand it, right? Dataphyte Foundation basically is a social impact organization that wants
My name is Charles Mba. I worked at Dataphyte as a data journalist and program manager.
between 2019 and
Okay, so Dataphyte is a social impact organization that uses data for socioeconomic development across the African continent. We have our Nigerian office, we have our UK office, and we basically function through three areas. That's access to data, policy insights, and resourcing through technology and training. So that's basically it. We work across different sectors: agriculture, education, health, the extractive sector, the environment, energy, and education. But moving on, I think we basically have, I would like to call myself a second generation Dataphyte staff. We have our first generation staff members here who took some time to share their experience and tell the story of Dataphyte from their own eyes and their own lens. And our communications team is going to play that video of the program director, the program managers, and different communication staff through the first 4 years of Dataphyte. So please do enjoy these nostalgic moments, and we'll then head on to the opening of the hub. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that initially I was suggesting that whether we could do this online, because I was away last week. Then they suggested that online, I know all the young people over there, I'm sure they can make it happen online. But they said that it is better to have it in person. I'm very happy, very excited to see all of you here at this occasion of unveiling this beautiful office in a very nice, serene space in Europa. An important space that has been dedicated to developing young people, young journalists in our country. And I always say this, that in this country, when we talk about innovation in our young people, we always talk about technology, the Flutter, Wave, and other organizations, which are very important in our country. But I think that the one thing that we should also appreciate is the innovation, the creativity, the knowledge that our young people like Joshua are bringing to the space. In my own days, this did not exist at all. And they don't only have a Nigerian perspective, they actually have an African perspective. And I think that this is one way that we need to celebrate, acknowledge, uplift our young people. And I think there are so many of our young people who have taken innovation from a civic space, from civic knowledge to a higher level of knowledge. Not only here in our Nigeria, but also globally as well. We have Nigerian organizations that are no longer actually Nigerian in the sense of how and where they operate. But they operate in so many countries, in so many spaces as well. So I'm very happy, very excited when I see this kind of innovation coming from our young people. So we thank people like Joshua for developing this lab and also to a space to incubate new ideas that probably will transform and transit to many other levels of our societies as well. Thank you very much, and now I can take this opportunity to dedicate this building. I know that the pastor has done so. I don't know whether we should also ask the pastor to come forward to give his blessings as we are trying to open this one. Maybe you want to say some words? Okay. Father, we ask that here will be used for your glory and for the blessing of humanity. Out of this place, God, let it come product that will impact this country significantly. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. I also want to just recall the point we made, that out of this place, which is dedicated to someone who has led to the development of our society, someone who has been a pillar of development of new journalists, new ideas, new creativity, who has brought technology and innovation to the field of journalism. Out of this space, we hope that this hub will lead to the development of new people, new ideas, new knowledge that will impact on our society
and make this place to be a place where younger, inspirational journalists and civic leaders will rise out of this space. Thank you very much. Thank you. Prof, now that you laid the backbone for him as well,
I'm going to get us in now. Slow steps. It's a big dream, but a small space. So we just walk in. But there's a man that